Alright, so I tried to do this video a little while ago. I did a video, but there's too many dumb people on the road, you know, walking in front of you, driving silly. I might post that video, I don't know. If you're seeing this video, then you know I didn't. That idler arm issue in the front there where those bolts came out, that was a Hooper's rear ends thing. They're the guys that put that idler arm in. Now, I had put my idler arms in, I painted them, I did a really good job, and when I brought it to them to do the gearing, remember now, I had those guys put 410 gears in the front differential and the rear, and a posi traction rear end in. I hope that everything they did inside those differentials is good, and that the rest of their shoddy work is not indicative of their work overall, whereby I end up having problems with the differentials. That would really suck. But the first thing that happened when I brought it into them was they called me and they said they had to replace my front idler arm. They cross-thread something on the, not on the two bolts that go into the frame, but the other one that goes through the linkage. They cross-thread that nut on there. So, you know, that's not good. And that was a bummer too, because the idler arms I had were real good ones and they weren't worn at all. And like I said, I had painted them and all that. Wow, that guy just cut in front of me. This is what I'm saying about Los Angeles. If I was still Jersey, you know, 20 years ago, I'd follow that guy home and probably smack the crap out of him in front of his family. I shouldn't say that on screen here. Am I that much of a psycho? I used to be. I used to be kind of a psycho. Anyhow, I'm a much kinder, gentler person now. What was I saying? Oh, so yeah, so the idler arm they had to replace. Then remember, I've showed it a couple times in other videos where all the bolts on the rear differential cover had backed out. They were all loose. When they put the CV axle in, there was a clear, deep groove wear mark on the input shaft on the driver's side that leaked like a sieve. So I had to bring that back to them, and they took one out of the ground and stuck it in there, but the CV joint itself was bad. So I had to replace my CV axle on my own, all right? And so it's just been one thing after another with them, and they had some young mechanic there, and we all know young people today, they got the grip strength of a 3-year-old, low testosterone, androgynous, just soy boy, like what the hell's, and look, if you're like some young kid and you're like you do your own mechanics and you're like some farmer somewhere and you're like a friggin' man, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the 80% of the rest of the kids, young people these days, that are just weak physically, weak-minded, just they're being programmed with a bunch of nonsense. I did not mean for this video to go in this direction, but here we are. I don't know which video is better, this one or the one I tried to record. So while I was under the van, that's what you're here for, right? All this other stuff I talked about. While I was under the van doing the engine mounts on Saturday, I looked at the backside of my harmonic balancer, and that rubber O-ring in there is cracked. And I'm starting to think, and somebody else mentioned that in the comments, it was mentioned a couple times, and I filed that into my mind. Like, okay, harmonic balancer, yeah, it's something I should look at. Absolutely. I still have a little bit of vibration. It's definitely more dampened now with the rubber bushings. You can feel the difference. It's interesting how that works. But there's still something there. So that's probably what it is. And that's not the end of the world to have to replace your harmonic balancer. I'm kind of thinking, I'm going to call Dave in a little bit here. But I was thinking, like, since I'm going to pull that, maybe I have another timing plate cover. They're plastic on the 4.3 Vortec. It came in this kit, all the stuff that Kyle gave us. So come on, dude, long skinny pedal, step on it. Let's go. There you go. Tesla drivers are the new BMW drivers. Well, the BMW drivers became the Prius drivers, and now the Prius drivers have become the Tesla drivers. And they all drive like a bunch of idiots because they're like entitled or something. They're narcissists. Those are narcissist cars. what the heck was I saying? Oh, harmonic balancer. So, and the timing cover. So I'm thinking, I don't know, does this have a timing chain or a timing belt? I guess I got to look into that. So I'm considering doing the timing chain, new cover, harmonic balancer. That's what I'm thinking about doing. I'm just looking at all the bad driving in front of me. Anyhow, that's what's happening. Hooper's rear ends, don't go there. I'm just telling you, and I don't care if they see this, because it's just been one loose bolt after another, and poor workmanship and shoddy work, all of that. It's just horrible. I can't even, like, I can only imagine what happens. Like, how many vehicles go into a shop to get work done, and then parts fall apart, and you end up having these issues with your vehicle because the guys who did your work didn't torque stuff down. What is that? That's crazy. I mean, if it was one thing, if it was just the idler arm, okay. If it was just the loose bolts on the rear differential, okay. If it was putting in a worn part that they shouldn't have put in and then they replaced that, okay. If they were to replace it with the correct part, okay. But no, it was bad. And this is why you see me doing my own work. I don't want to do it, but this is what they force me into, right? So I've got to, like, work my ass off. I got to make the money so I can afford the parts. But then I've got to find the time to work on the vehicle. And between working on the vehicle and doing my normal work, you know, it's hard to have any time for yourself, even just to relax. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to make a left here? Yeah. All right. So that's it for now. Thanks for being here. Obviously, I'll record everything when I do it. And it's funny because that PCV valve replacement absolutely had a major impact on how this van's running, and the jump in my MPGs and the smooth running of the engine, you know, itself, other than this little vibration thing. Like, I had that misfire issue. I think that was what that was caused by. So eventually I get to solving it, but I don't mind replacing the parts. I've heard comments from other mechanics where they get a car in, and I've heard the term the parts cannon. Somebody threw the parts cannon at this. You know, they replaced all these parts trying to solve this problem, but now I'll diagnose it right. And that's good. I wish I had the proper diagnosis mindset of an actual mechanic. Come on, it's green light. What the fuck are you waiting for? So, special shade of green they're looking for. Maybe they're just colorblind. I don't know. Lost my train of thought again. Anyhow, I'm going away for now. I was saying about the parts. I don't mind doing the parts for a couple reasons. Again, I'm just reiterating this for those of you that are new here. And by the way, I know that this camera is shaking right now on the dash. I watched the footage. There's a Quadlock sells a dampener. It's an anti-vibration mechanism device. It will pad the phone into me a little bit more, which I'm not sure is great because this looks pretty close. I might have to reposition this thing on the dash back a little bit. So it's going to be a process, but I'll solve the shaking. That'll go away soon enough. I'm going to order that thing. I'll probably do it today. So as far as the parts, look, I like replacing the parts. I like having the new parts in the van. Also, yeah, it gives me content for the channel. I mean, by the time I'm done with this thing, if there's ever a done, I will probably have a video on replacing everything there is to replace on an Astro van. George, my buddy George, man, I got to talk to George soon. I got to call him. You know, he says I got a PhD in Astro van now. Not really, man. I'm still like working on my master's. I think, you know, if I start getting into the harmonic balancer, or if I got to do the manifold gasket, the lower manifold gasket there, not the plenum, which I've already been into and did that already, but the next one, then I'll say maybe that's my Astrovan PhD level course that I'm into. But yeah, there's still a little vibration here, so that's the only other thing I can think of. And so visually I saw that. I'm gonna get underneath the van I was going to be working at the house today, but I got there and she's got guys tree trimmers all over where I'm working. I've got tinnitus. I have to wear hearing protection when I'm using my power tools, or my ears will ring for weeks. I made the mistake of not wearing it last week, and my ears have been ringing a lot lately. And I just can't be working around all those chainsaws and everything. It's just going to destroy my head. So right now I'm going to get a flapper for her toilet to replace that for her, and then I'm going to grab the harmonic balancer with a pair of channel locks and see if I can move that and really test it and see if that is a serious issue there. But we're probably just going to replace it anyhow, regardless. And oh, come on, dude. They don't even look at you when they know they fucked up. Don't even look at you. They're just going to do what they want and just keep their head down. Avert eye contact. Probably because I look like a psycho staring at them. I do have that look like I want to rip your head off. It's not nice. I do, and you know, I'm going to tell you guys right here, right now. I'm a pretty nice guy. I talk to perfect strangers. I help old ladies cross the street and carry their groceries to the car. And I smile at little children. And I do all the right stuff. At the same time, when I see dumb behavior, and I call it narcissistic behavior to a certain extent, people just doing what they want to do without any concern whatsoever for the other humans around them on the planet sharing the same space. Yeah, I give them a look like it's not good. I don't know. But I do it in hopes that they see it and they're like, oh, maybe that'll jar them for them to recognize that their behavior at that moment is unacceptable. And now there's another human on the planet letting them know that what they're doing is unacceptable. Maybe that'll jar them enough to be like, yeah, I shouldn't do that. I should be more conscious of other people around me. Because I am. I mean, I would say 85% of the time I'm on it, really. But, yeah, okay, I got a 15% with me, too. And maybe that's just their 15%. Maybe they're much nicer than I am, and that was the one thing they've done in the last month that makes them seem like a douchebag in my eyes. But just try to be less of a douchebag. And I don't think that's is that a curse or a bad word for, it's an actual item? You guys know what it's used for? I don't know where I am. Harmonic balancer's probably happening. Timing cover, timing chain, and all that's probably going to happen just because I'll be in there. And I just want to dial this thing in so those things don't go wrong when I'm driving up to the Arctic Circle. That's what's happening. So I hope you enjoyed this rant. It's a 13-minute nonsensical rant of me driving around Los Angeles being distracted, but I hope I covered the point I wanted to cover. This is my President's Day. How's yours going?